Hey guys, it's Nemo and welcome back to World of Warships. There's a few things I just want to say before we get into today's video, which is about the USS Farragut. And that is, one, thank you to everybody who subscribes to this channel. We passed 100 subscribers during the week, last week, and I can't thank you enough. For all of you who watch the channel as well, but those guys who subscribe, it's greatly appreciated. As I said, I can't thank you enough. I also want to let you know that we're just waiting to hear back from Wargaming about King of the Tasman, and then King of the Tasman 2 will be kicking off soon, so that'll be something good, something fun to get into. And the next patch will have the release of Russian battleships, so let's hope that sort of balances out the current meta a little bit. Anyway, let's get into the video and see how the Farragut goes. So as you can see here, we have a double CV game. It's standard at the moment for tier 6, tier 7 and tier 5 pretty much. You're either going to get 2 tier 4 carriers or, like here, 2 tier 6 carriers, and if you're unfortunate in the tier 6 ship to be bottom tier and get 2 tier 8 carriers, well, good luck, good luck. Usually on the Farragut I would suggest running the B hull because you get 1 extra gun. Now the Farragut runs the 127mm guns that are standard on US destroyers from tier 5 all the way to tier 10. And the good thing about the 127mm guns is that you don't need to run IFHE because you can penetrate 19mm of armor, which means also that the Farragut can penetrate armor, superstructure armor mainly, all the way up to, and destroyer armor all the way up to tier 10, but it never really faces tier 10 ships, so it doesn't have to worry about that. The good thing about the C hull, is that it gives you defensive fire, and that is why I'm running the C hull with the Farragut. The Farragut is relatively quick already for her tier. As you can see, I'm 3/4 and in a turn, and I'm still doing 32 plus knots, which is pretty good for tier 6. Now, the defensive fire is so handy in the current meta because of all the aircraft carriers. You're going to face them. You're not going to face them, which is really disappointing, I think, because I don't want to say it, but I think that aircraft carriers are really ruining the game right now. And it's not the fact that they're so prominent, it's the fact that there's no counterplay. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, have a look at here. I'm doing thousands of damage and no planes shot down. If it was in the last meta before the CV rework, I would have had a couple shot down. Now I do, but I've done nearly 3,000 aircraft damage. So I had a bit of a fat finger moment there. That's why my smoke got popped. And yeah, it's making the game not very fun. And I'm not the only person who's been saying that. A lot of people have been saying that. In saying that, I'm not going to leave the game because I love the game. I really do. I love this game. So, as I do always with this channel, we're going to play the game to beat the game how it is, because that's the only way that we are going to end up having fun. So the other thing you guys might notice is that I'm playing this game on the standard mode, and for those of you who've watched my channel since the beginning, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of standard battles because it doesn't give you an objective. Yes, there is a capture point, but you may as well just sail around in the map killing each other without a capture point. That's pretty much what standard is. If you get in behind and you can cap their base, go for it. Doesn't always happen though. So as you can see that the range is coming down. What I tried to do here was try to juke and force him to drop early and then turn in, but I turn in too late. He gets a relatively good drop, and I eat a torpedo, unfortunately. But yeah, it did 3,000 damage, but 3,000 damage at this tier is not too much, especially for battleships and things like that. But yeah, okay, you could argue yes, it destroys, it's a lot, but it's just something we have to deal with, unfortunately. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play island cover. You can't afford to rush out and be silly anymore. And you can almost not even do your job, because unless it's a non-carrier game, you can't really get out and scout freely. Some ships, yes, you can. Like if you have a look at our Shinonome out on the 10 line there, he can probably scout freely because he's going to be getting himself way away from the battle. But then that means that you're not in the battle affecting the fight. So you're in a bit of a catch-22 with destroyers. And that's why we're running the anti-air hull. It gives us a little bit more option to defend ourselves against aircraft, although you're going to be permanently spotted all the time, that's what's making it really hard for a lot of players, is that with all the aircraft carriers, the aircraft carrier now is the main spotter, not the destroyer. Unfortunately, a lot of aircraft carrier players don't realise this. They're just coming down and oh yeah, they've made the game so much easier, I can just come and do damage now, free damage. But you have a role to play, and you can see that the games where you win and win well in aircraft carrier games is because the aircraft carrier is doing his multi-role. He's spotting, he's taking out destroyers, he's giving your team a massive advantage. Now you can see there the Hydro just went down, which is from the Dallas there on the corner. And once it's down, we can launch torps. He's going to see them anyway. I mean, sometimes you're going to get lucky. I remember torping a low Yang to death in my T-61, and he had his Hydro going, and it was just preemptive torps. And you might have seen it in my Dev Strike video, actually. That was that one. Doesn't matter if you've got Hydro on. If you can't dodge, then you're going to be dead. Now, Minikaze rushes in here. Now, this is a good thing about the Farragut. If you put BFT on the Farragut, which will help your AA guns, it also buffs your main battery. Your main battery is a dual-purpose gun, and you can get I think the reload gets down to about 4.5 seconds. So that's Atlantis-style fire. You know, it's pretty good, pretty rapid, and even with only 4 guns and not 5, when you're firing off that many guns against a tier 5 destroyer, yeah, you're gonna have fun, which is what we want to do. So we're here detected. Yeah, we're going to be permanently. When you're playing with all the aircraft carriers, just think about it, that you're going to be permanently detected anyway. So we go behind the island. The good arcs of the American guns means that you can fire up over the islands there without being spotted. Now the Hatsuharu here, if you have a look at his guns, now this is the reason I went side onto him here is because if you look at his guns, he's not facing at me, he's looking at the Fuso. He's going to do a YOLO charge on the Fuso. If his guns are looking at you, then his torpedo tubes are looking at you. So it was fine for me to go along there and freely fire and hit that ship without having to worry about torpedoes. And one of the bad things about the Farragut is the fact that she has a 6.6 kilometer surface detection with a 6.4 kilometer torpedoes. So you can't actually stealth torp in the Farragut. You've got to bait and ambush. Same sort of thing if you're playing the Nicholas, you know. So her game style is a little bit like the Nicholas, except for the fact that if you follow my recommendation and don't leave tier 4 until you have a 10-point captain on your Clemson, that means that your Nicholas will have a 10-point captain and you'll have a 5.8 kilometer surface detection. So there again, showcasing the really good arcs of the American guns, being able to fire up over the islands and get ourselves another kill. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go in again. Now, this is the unfortunate thing. See my position. It's not the best position. Yes, I went back and defended the cap, and I probably didn't need to because there's a lot of ships around there. But because you're constantly spotted by aircraft, as I said, you can't get out in front and do your job and spot. So we're just going to come here, slow down, and we have another island to help us to farm on another Dallas. And this is essentially the gameplay of destroyers now in an aircraft carrier game. You're going to smoke up your team. You're going to provide AA if you can. American DDs are very good for that because they've got the defensive fire. And a really good ship at the moment for this meta is the Grozhevoy. If you love Russian destroyers, the Grozhevoy is awesome. But you can still be effective. This is what I'm trying to say. You can still be effective as a destroyer without suiciding into a cap or suiciding out in front of your team. You've got to play a more team-based role. I don't know if any of you, I don't know how many of you used to play before they nerfed the smoke, before they made it back to smoke firing penalties. But what we used to do is, the old smoke meta was you'd smoke up your team straight away, and then they'd come into the smoke screen, one of them would pop a hydro, and you'd go out in front of your smoke screen and you'd spot, and then you just had people, you'd fire out of the smoke. So the old smoke meta, especially in these low tiers where there's no radar, is still very viable. So if you've got for example, if you team up with a division mate, and then we get the third kill there, so that's good, firing up over the island. It's always fun to get kills. As I was saying, if you can get a division mate or good cooperative teammates, because they're OP, that's one of the islands, and teamwork is the only thing that's really OP in this game. You get a division or cooperative teammates and you smoke them up and spot, and you can do massive amounts of damage, and you're more likely to win the game. That's how this meta is. Just be careful of radar, that's all. Now what we're going to do here is we're just going to ambush. You come out, we haven't got that much health, he's within 5 kilometers, we've got 6.4 kilometer torpedoes. He has seen us now, and firing HE against a destroyer is extremely effective in a battleship. And one of my torps hit some great coated island there. Now we're going to keep firing on him because we just want to, we got spotted, so fire at him, try and get fires. We got a flooding is always good, a couple of torpedo hits. Now he can't see us from the island here, and this is essentially American cruiser play. You sit behind the island and you just start farming on them. And now we're just doing it with 127mm guns, not 152mm or 203mm guns. If this wasn't an aircraft carrier game, which is very rare at this tier at the moment, then you could get out in front and spot for your team. Now someone hits me really well, and I'm not sure if it was the Fuso. It was either the Fuso or the Congo, but they give me a really good hit. There's a destroyer coming down the middle here, so I sort of turn around a bit to counter him, because the Fuso's burning. There's a Shinanomi out in front of them. There's also a Leander out there who's keeping these guys occupied, and then firing in the smoke. Remember to always move in your smoke. That's why I was crawling to the front. And then here, so it can't be the Fuso because the Fuso just fired, but someone gives me a good hit in the smoke here. Right there. Anyway, another destroyer in the middle. So I moved to go and deal with him, but there's enough ships over there. There's some times in the game where you've just got to trust your teammates. Now I know it's hard, but we've got to try and do it. So I think, well, there's enough ships over there. I'm just going to keep going on these fellas over here. And I always talk to you guys about objective play and playing the objective. Now what I could have done here was gone out and tried to farm these guys. Two of the battleships go down. There's only the Bayern left. It is a stock Bayern, as you can see. The next hull actually loses that front tower. The front conning tower changes and becomes more of a splinter, what they call a splinter-free block tower. And I could have gone out and farmed him. And I thought, well, if I'm going to make the video here, I'm always telling you guys that we should always play objective play, no matter what, because something could happen and he could all of a sudden win the game. He could kill the Leander, he could kill the Shinanomi, he could kill the Lagasse. He could have a phenomenal round. You never ever know. So I thought, oh, if I'm preaching to you guys to do that, I'm going to go to the cap. So that's what I do. Could have gone to Gilliam, but no, we're going to head to the cap. So 44,800's not too bad in a CV heavy game. 19 plane kills there with 19,000 plane damage. And we've still got a little bit of spotting damage in there, and it's still racking up. As you can see, I'm the one keeping him spotted, and it's going up. So all in all, Farragut, not a bad ship. It was actually one of my favourite destroyers when I first started up this line. I got to this ship and it really struck a chord with me, and learning how to use her as an ambush tool is really, really vital. So, post-battle results. As I said, 44,877, 19 plane kills, which is pretty good. 145 hits, and that's the really good benefit of running the BFT. So we finish on top here. We got the 3 kills, 1500 base XP. Always a good day out. So let's have a look at how we build a Farragut. So first things first, we're always going to run our premium consumables. Now on the Sea Hull, as I said, we're running defensive AA because it's going to help you in the current meta a lot. Now upgrades wise, we're going to run with the main armaments mod 1 to keep your guns and torpedoes alive, propulsion mod to protect your engine. Now I'm running the aiming systems because I want that tighter shell grouping, but the AA mods 1 is extremely viable as well. I also run propulsion mod because if you use smoke and islands a lot, then you can jockey in and out of them quite well. But the steering gears is viable if you play a lot of open water. So as you can see, we've got the Sea Hull on as opposed to the B Hull, which gives you more firepower, but Sea Hull is better for AA. We're going to run the priority target as number 1. Then we're going to have the last stand. Last stand is just mandatory. Now BFT I went for first. It buffs your AA guns plus makes your main battery fire faster. Concealment expert because you need to get it down to 6.6 as soon as you can. And that's our first 10 points. Now I'm going to run preventative maintenance here to protect my guns and my torpedo tubes plus any of my AA guns. Superintendent and survivability expert are great skills to have. If you can get them, they will help your ship a lot. So like I always say, you should always have a 10-point captain coming out of tier 4. It gives you such an edge, and not having it is going to really hinder your gameplay, especially in the current meta with all the aircraft carriers. So Farragut, she's a good ship. She's a solid ship. She can be difficult to play because of her surface detection, but once you get the hang of her, she's a good ship to play. And the line only gets better from here. I mean, I think the pinnacle of the line would definitely be the Fletcher at tier 9, but the gearing is solid. The thing that's wrong with the gearing at the moment is she's in a tier 10 meta where Midway can delete her in one bomb drop. So, but not worried about any aircraft carriers at the moment. We just want to beat the game as it is. Solid line, a really good line if you like destroyers to go up the American line. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me, and stay safe out there.